So some Fox News hosts decided to give Republicans midterm election strategy advice. I want to listen to it, and then I'll give you a full breakdown of what I think about it.
With the traditional kickoff for the campaign season tomorrow on Labor Day, we look ahead to those crucial midterm elections. Here's my take. Republicans are about to make a huge mistake that could lose them the House and the Senate in 65 days' time. So if anyone's watching who has any influence with the GOP, tell them this. Americans' top priority is the economy. But if Republicans think that campaigning on what a good job they've done will win votes, they are dead wrong. People don't vote out of gratitude. They vote for the future. To win in November, stick to one message. Under Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats, you'd pay $2,059 more tax a year. That's the amount Paul Ryan said the average household benefits from the Trump tax cuts the Democrats pledge to reverse. That should be the message. $2,000 a year more tax under Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats. So let's ask some seasoned political and economic experts if they agree with my advice. Fox News contributor and president of Independent Women's Voice, Tammy Bruce. And come in, Stuart Varney, the host of Varney and Company on FBN. So, Stuart, do you see what I did there? I go on Stuart's show all the time. I love it. It's such fun. And he always says, come in, Steve Hilton. So I'm repaying the compliment.
I'll take it. Okay. So, go ahead. What's your question?
No, you tell me. Did I get it right? Should they focus not just on the economy doing well, but on the simple fact that the Democrats would increase your taxes by $2,000?
You're onto something there, Steve, and I agree they should go after the Nancy Pelosi's and the Democrats of this world, who really will cost America a fortune. But the state of the economy, in my opinion, it is the greatest story rarely told. We do have a booming economy, 4% growth, double what we had in the Obama era, plenty of jobs. We have prosperity. We're back to it. But you don't hear about it. Did you read about this in the New York Times today? Did you hear it on the evening news? No, you did not. So I have no problem with the president and the Republicans getting out there and pounding the table. Look what we've got. Prosperity. It is a feeling of dynamism and vigor. Pound the table, put out that message. But yes, by all means say, this goes away if you vote that way.
Well, I think, Stuart, they should put you out there. You're fired up about it. That was the most passionate articulation of what's gone on that I've seen. And by the way, I think we've got a poll. There's a really interesting poll that shows that people's faith in the economy and their belief that it's doing well has really, doubled, I think, is the actual data there. You've already got it on screen. So you're right that people are seeing that. It just needs to be emphasized. Tammy, can I get your take on all this?
Well, look, I think that what's interesting here, especially with that poll, you still see 51% saying it's only fair or poor. And it's because you've got a media, as Stuart noted, that only focuses on the negative. And even though they've noticed their paychecks, the fact is they're getting hammered every day with a negative message. And that's what liberals and Democrats require, is to depress people once again and to make them think that maybe what you think is good is not happening everywhere. Maybe this is an anomaly for you. Mm-hmm. And this is why I do think the president and his team and all of us should have a responsibility to remind people about the truth of the matter. And look, you've got the best economy, like in 4 years, consumer sentiment, the highest in 18. But the other problem is, and why the president needs to remind people that this is due to policy, Americans can begin to believe that this is the natural state, that this is just who we are, no matter who it is that's governing, that it's, New York's going to be the same, whether it's Giuliani or David Dinkins, right? I mean, that's not true. Policy matters. Decisions matter. Leadership matters. And this is what President Trump represents and what he must remind people of.
But on that note, I think you could easily attack the far left of the Democrat Party, because it seems to me that the socialists have taken over. You can make a very good argument that America does not appreciate socialism, that it's a failure elsewhere in the world, and it would be a failure here. You can frighten voters with that word socialism when you spell out what it means.
Wow. All right, so let's go point by point here, because there are multiple strategies that the respective hosts lay out. So, the first host says, okay, the argument from Republicans for the midterm election should be, you're going to pay $2,059 more in taxes per year if you vote for Democrats. So that actually wouldn't be a bad strategy, except here's the problem with it. It's not true. It's utter bullshit. So let me explain what I mean. He took the average. The average is insanely misleading. Because if you look at the Trump tax bill overall, 83% of the benefits of the tax bill go to the top 1%. In fact, the tax bill raises taxes for everybody who makes $75,000 a year or less over a decade. So when the Democrats make the argument, if they were to, I don't know if they're going to go in this direction, if the Democrats were to make the argument against the Trump tax bill, which, by the way, they should, that's a perfectly fine thing to run against, you point out over and over, this was a tax cut for the rich. It raises taxes on you. So by us repealing it, we're going to give you, regular people, working people, middle-class people, poor people, we're going to give you more money back. So that would be a good argument of, oh, we're looking out for you and we're going to give you $2,000 more per year. That would be a good argument if it were true, but it's utter bullshit and it's lying. It is fudging the numbers to try to make it look like the Republicans are for working people when they're not. It's not even close. Okay, so that's the first one. Now, it only gets worse from here because that guy at least had an argument that in theory could have been good, but it's not good because, like I said, it's not true. So the rebuttal from the Democrats, and who knows, maybe the Democrats wouldn't be smart enough to even know this rebuttal, but the rebuttal is, you're lying, that's not true, we want to give regular people more money, your tax bill cut taxes for the rich and corporations, not for the regular guy. Okay. Then Stuart Varney interjects with his brilliant elitism. He's like, well, I don't understand. Why don't the Republicans just go out there and say, we have prosperity. Respect my prosperity. Here's why that's a stupid argument. Stuart, the only people who have prosperity are the people who are your friends, who you run in circles with. The establishment feels great. Corporations feel great. Billionaires feel great. Millionaires feel great. You know who doesn't feel the prosperity? Regular people. In fact, wages are down, son. So every time you bring up, look at the low unemployment rate and the skyrocketing market, you think you're making an argument. In reality, you're making our argument for us. Because it shows that the only interests that you're aligned with are the interests of the rich. Because that's why you think everything's hunky-dory, because it's hunky-dory for them. Regular people are out here struggling, dipshit. Half of workers in this country make $30,000 a year or less. 76% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. 29 million Americans don't have health insurance. And your argument is going to be, aren't things great? Vote for me. Things are great, right? No, they're not. And you don't realize it because you're up your own ass. Okay, so his argument's even worse. Then it gets even dumber somehow. I think she says, well, really the argument that should be made from President Trump is that leadership matters. What does that even mean? I hate it when people, like, that's the broad, vague, like, I don't know if she's a paid Fox contributor, but it's possible she's a paid Fox contributor, and that's the kind of fucking brilliant analysis that we're looking for. Here's what you do. You run an election and you say, leadership matters. Well, thank you. Fucking brilliant. What a genius fucking breakdown of the situation. Leadership. There are different kinds of leadership. There are different styles of leadership. What's the philosophy behind the leadership in terms of the policy substance? That's what's most important. She's like, no, leadership matters. That's what Trump needs to say. Leadership's good. That's very close to this is the Republican version of, remember Tom Perez and the DNC? I'm for good things and against bad things. We got to lead with our values because values are good. You're not saying anything. You sound like a fucking idiot. Same with this. Leadership matters. I don't know why people like this even get involved in politics. You know you're adding nothing to the conversation. You know you're dead weight. At least the other guys were proposing theories that were wrong theories. Yours doesn't even crack the bar of being a theory. It's just nothing. What a jackass. And then finally, Stuart Varney brings it home with something that we all could have predicted he was going to say. Well, I don't understand why the Republicans don't just say socialism and try to scare the American people. They're admitting stuff that we accused them for the longest time of doing, but they act like, no, we don't do that. We don't try to tap into people's fears. You just admitted that's what... If you say socialism, they'll be scared. Do that. By the way, that's not going to work. How do you not know that at this late date? First of all, the polls for younger people, socialism is more preferred than capitalism among young people. So now I'm not putting a value judgment on that one way or the other. I'm just saying that's what the polls show. Sure, with the older generations, it's the opposite, but it's not the boogeyman you think it is anymore, especially when the people who bring up that term today are doing it in the context of democratic socialism. That's point number one. And point number two is when they describe what their version of democratic socialism is, what they're really describing is social democracy. And social democracy, which is the Scandinavian model, is glorious and wonderful and kicks our ass in every measurable, quantifiable way. So that's not going to work. Scream socialism, scream Venezuela, of course, that's their go-to. Venezuela, Soviet Union, Cuba. So go ahead, you do that. Let me know how that works out for you. That's not going to work. That's going to work. Listen, it actually, I shouldn't say that. It depends. It matters. Because if Stuart Varney, and any of these people come up with their strategy and they run against corporate Democrats, they can win. Of course they can. We've seen it. Fucking Donald Trump beat Hillary Clinton. Of course. Corporate Democrats lose because they don't believe in anything. They're just fucking neoliberal, corporatist, status quo, warmongering idiots. Oh, I don't know. I'm just part of the system. So, yes, your strategy can beat a corporate Democrat, particularly because almost any strategy could beat a corporate Democrat because they have no strategy and they're fucking platitude cliche machines. But you try to take that bullshit to a Justice Democrat, you try to take that bullshit to somebody on the populist left, it will be a bloodbath and it'll be amazing.